Graffiti writers find themselves involved in graph for many different reasons. But before a writer can ever be considered a writer, there's something they gotta go out there and do. And that is hit up for the first time. So before a writer gets up for the first time, what should they have in mind and what should they have lined up? And what was it like for me the first time I got up? Before tagging for the first time, you're gonna need a name. And before tagging for the first time, some writers might feel like their name needs to mean something, but adding some meaning to your name is not necessary. It could definitely help enhance your name. People might think it's cool that you're writing something for a particular reason, but ultimately, it's not all that important. And my own advice for picking a name is pretty straightforward. Your name should be 4 to 5 letters, it shouldn't be anything stupid, and try not to overthink it. And you can find inspiration for graph names all around you, and my first name was inspired by a song. When I first started writing, I wasn't into rock music, but the Smashing Pumpkins came out with a song called Zero, and something about that song resonated with me, so that was the name I picked. And when I got put onto graffiti by the homeboy E, he gave me basically the same advice. Don't come up with anything stupid and make your name 4 to 5 letters. And Zero was 4 letters, so all this was good enough for me. So let's say you take all this advice in, you come up with something, it's 4 to 5 letters, and it's not stupid. The next thing you're gonna need is a spot to get up in. And for your first time tagging, I recommend that you go to a spot you know very well. And I especially recommend a spot that you're gonna blend into and that you're not gonna attract any attention for being in. And for me, I picked Holly Park as the first spot that I got up in because I was very familiar with it. I've been going to this place since I was a very small kid, and it was right across the street from my first elementary school, and nobody would think twice if they saw me over there. And once you have a spot narrowed down, you now need to find a spot within this spot to actually do your thing. And when I picked Holly Park to hit up in for the first time, I already had a spot in mind at the park. This spot is the wall of a bathroom that faces the Holly Courts projects. As I talked about in my last video, the guys from Holly Courts, especially the writer Dalk, are the people that got me involved in graffiti. And as part of my tryout to join the crew PBH, I needed to hit up in a spot that they were all gonna see. And I knew if I hit up on that wall, within a couple of hours of me laying that tag down, most of the people I wanted to see the tag would see it. This next step might not apply to everybody. And if you have your own spot, you have your own ride, you can come and go when you please, you can disregard this. But as a 12-year-old kid, this wasn't the case for me, and I was gonna have to find a window of opportunity. Even though I never hit up before, I knew getting a window of opportunity during a weekday was gonna be difficult. My mom went to work very early in the morning, so that meant she came home very early in the afternoon as well, and usually she was home by like 3:15. And that doesn't mean I couldn't have gone during the week. I could have said I was late coming home because the train got delayed, or we all got kicked off the train, or I had to walk or something like that. But honestly, I did not want to be around my mom after tagging. I didn't want to act suspicious. I didn't want to act like I was hiding something, and I just wanted her to not be there after I did my thing. So this meant I was gonna have to get up on a weekend, and I picked Sunday morning as the best time. On a Sunday morning, my mom was working and she was usually there at like 6 in the morning, and by like 7:30 or 8 in the morning, she was somewhere else away from my house across town. So I knew I could go over to Holly Park when really nobody was there, hit up real quick, and be right back to the house. And if my mom ever came back to the house for any reason, I'd be there acting like I just woke up. But if you can disregard this and you can just go out whenever you feel like, it's all the better. But you do have to keep in mind what your spot's gonna look like when you get there and what it's gonna look like when you're planning on hitting up. But with your name, your spot, and possibly your window of opportunity locked down, there's one more very important thing you need, and that's something to do graffiti with. And the spot itself plays a big role in what you bring, but the level of hotness as well as your level of comfort tagging also play a deciding factor. And if you're going to a really mellow spot and there's not a lot of people that go there, you can take your time. And on the flip side, if the spot that you have in mind has a lot of foot traffic, has a lot of people passing through, or maybe just your level of anxiety pre-tag is really high, I'd recommend you getting up with the sticker. Doing so will allow you to tag ahead of time and allow you to tag as many times as you like until you get your tag right. And when it's time to put that sticker up, you can slap that thing down and be gone in a couple of seconds. And the first time I hit up, I didn't use a can, I didn't use a marker, I didn't even use something that was made for graph. I used a shoe polish applicator. And in using one of these, I ended up making a big mistake. And that's because the surface I wrote on, stucco, is incredibly rough. And when I was hitting up my name with that mop, I saw a big piece of the nib fly right off. So when you're out there checking out spots, just pay attention to what surface you're gonna write on and don't use a marker or a mop or anything with the nib on a rough surface. And if you put all these different parts of the plan together and you feel mentally ready enough to go do your thing, you can now go out there and start your graph journey. But I can say there is one thing I'm leaving out, and when I started my own journey, I didn't have this thing. And this thing is any idea or any knowledge about graph, especially how to write it. And on that day in 1996, when I got up for the first time, I didn't know anything about styles, I didn't know anything about the history, I knew some fools that tagged and knew absolutely nothing else. But I did know that the idea of tagging excited me, and I couldn't wait to get out of the house and run up the street and go hit up my name. That's all I needed. And also on that morning, I didn't know that graffiti would become my obsession in my life for the next couple of years, and I sure as hell didn't know that almost 30 years later, I'd still be talking about it. But with that said, I recommend you guys have a little bit more knowledge and understanding going into this thing than I did. And also, unlike me, you might want to practice your name before you go put it out there. But I wouldn't go overboard, and before you invest a bunch of time or money into graffiti, you have to know if you actually like tagging. But as long as you have a name, a spot in mind, a way to get up, and the drive to do it, you don't need anything else to become a writer.